No,
like
you
I
didn't.
do at every podcast, I make love to the microphone with my mouth.
Hi there, and welcome to Hav and Charles Talk Comics, Season 4, Episode 6. I am one of your hosts, Charles Herring, and I am here with my very, very, very good friend who's trying not to laugh, Javier Gonzalez.
Hey, Charles.
Hi, Jav. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so this is now apparently going to be a kind of recurring bit where you say Mark, and usually it's a good 10-second count that I internally can count on my own. And now you're just stretching it out because for some reason, when you do that, it cracks me the fuck up.
Well,
and it's I just laughed really good internally and let a little out at the end.
Part of the reason, too, is for so long, the second I said Mark, you would start clicking your fucking mouse or moving around or start to whistle. I mean...
Or breathe heavy.
Or
breathe
you would
into
just
the microphone.
You just do like a huge sigh or snort.
Yeah, like, okay.
I mean, it's just it was just like you do. We're trying to get ambient noise cut out. So now
You mean Mark now? Do you mean Mark now? Okay.
Yes. So I've just been having fun because I can see you trying not to do anything. So then I just give it another 5 or 6 seconds.
I tried to emulate a deer caught in headlights. I just tried to not move and hardly breathe, actually. And then, of course, you stretch it out. And then just now, I was literally shaking, trying not to laugh. For some reason, that really cracked me up. Thank you. I needed that.
You're welcome.
So, hey, welcome everybody, like Charles said, to Season 4, Episode 6, where we're going to talk about, you guessed it, comic books. I suggested we should read a little comic book that some of you might have heard of called, full title, according to the Hoopla, John Constantine, Hellblazer, Volume 1, Original Sins. And Charles suggested a little comic book that goes by the name of Batman. And it was the Volume 2 called Court of Owls.
Yes. It wasn't Volume 1?
No, it's
Okay.
actually Volume 2.
Okay.
Really early on in Volume 2. Yours came out, because I did do a little bit of the Googleizing on this, in February of 2012. Mine came out in January of 88.
That makes sense. Because they were talking about Margaret Thatcher in it. So as per our usual thing, we're going to talk about yours, which works really well because it's been a while since I've read it, so we should get it out of the way first. And by a while, I finished it 45 minutes ago.
Okay, so it's already escaped your memory.
It is. I've already
lost.
lost.
This character called John Constantine.
So
and that's it. That's all I got out of it. I don't know.
I really
What did you think? Let me ask.
I really enjoyed it. It was tough to read it like a lot of mystical comics and horror comics does not flow necessarily from one to the next. They're all just set little pieces. There was a bunch of it that did. It all had some interconnectednesses with it. But it was not all just this one full linear story. And a lot of it was heavy.
Yes, it's a lot of, I kind of think of it like X-Files, Monster of the Week, but there's some threads that carry on. And they used to, they've now categorized different X-Files shows and then threads that carried on throughout. But like that, we can get into a little bit of the different storylines and arcs, if you want to even call them that. They're really one-off issues. I think the first couple issues was the one-story arc with that weird demon bug thing that infected his friend that was hooked on heroin.
Minoff.
Yeah.
Something like that. The whole thing of that is it made people consume that which they loved or that they didn't like. Because, I mean, they had a vegan guy who just ate himself to death on meat. But then other people like comic book collector eating comics.
Right.
And
it was gluttony, kind of, right?
Yeah, it was basically
at
gluttony.
Some level.
Yeah. Okay, Catholic boy.
Yeah, because
7 deadly sins.
One thing I know.
Yes.
My catechism is still just a steel trap mind. Still remember it from whatever many decades ago. Well, actually, a little bit too much, probably. I do remember. The couple overarching things from the start for me was that unfortunately a lot of the overarching themes in it were eerily timely when it comes to the Thatcher and conservatism and the haves wanting more and the have-nots, pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You're not getting any aid, albeit set in England, London. Yeah. And then the evangelical thing going on where and the prophet evangelical thing where like his sister and her husband are in some kind of thing where it's a pyramid scheme is what they kind of say. So it's a prophet thing, but it's for Jesus, so it's okay.
Well, that whole,
because that's what Jesus taught.
I hesitate to say I liked that arc, that storyline, but it was a good storyline. It was a real creepy young girl gets kidnapped. Turns out not kidnapped. She gets coaxed to marry someone by 3 other brides that showed her their neck, and they called it their wedding ring, and it was the garrote mark around their neck from when they were strangled to death. And they said it only hurts for a minute, and basically they were being sacrificed to Satan and given to this guy as ghosts. And Constantine fortunately saves her, since it's his frickin' niece. I did like that part. It was his niece.
He hears it on the radio when he's about to make it with Zed / Mary, and he's like, "Ah, crap, I gotta go. It's my niece."
Well, no, it wasn't even like that. He's like, "Do you have a car? Do you drive?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You have to take me here." Well, why? That was my niece. It's like, okay, you got to give it to her. She up and went, and then she was hiding from the God Squad, which we find out later. I liked that kind of part of the arc. I did not understand the part of the arc where she was going to be Mary and give birth to... So this whole group is actually part of heaven's... See, I had trouble with this because this is the group that also said the prayer that made the Vietnam vets come back to their house that had disappeared, that had been lost, and actually came back to their Iowa town and shot it up and murdered everybody. So because their prayers made that happen. But then she's going to give birth to another Jesus, and then she's not, because he had demon juice inside of her, and they laid together as
right before she was about to be visited by an angel or whatever.
Yeah, so I guess is that what we're saying, is that because that happened, the angel is not going to come and knock her up,
or God, yeah, is not going to knock her up because now she slept with John Constantine again.
Yeah, well, but this time demon tainted.
Yes, because he had what's his face's. I wrote down his name. Negral's blood.
Yes,
because he gave him a quick transfusion.
In the
hospital.
Yeah, because he was broken. He broken legs and broken arms.
Constantine, when he's talking to Negral about joining this whatever fight, Negral explains that there had been a balance, and the balance has been thrown off, and now they're about to try to bring back another Jesus type figure. And I think you're going to get into it. Everybody needs to remember this is comic books and don't get all roiled up by this. But I just like in movies and shows where not all the angels are good. Look at Supernatural. God sometimes is an asshole. There's a balance. There's yin and the yang, and maybe this Jesus squad. I wrote down their name somewhere. The Crusaders or the or Resurrection Crusade or something. Maybe their God isn't the God they think, or hey, you can't. Maybe it's not all gold paths and glory. There's going to be some broken stuff along the way. I don't know. It was. I think there's. I thought I had read this before. I don't think I'd read this before. I think I'd read a different part of Hellblazer, and for some reason I thought it was the beginning. It was absolutely not this arc.
I've read it before.
Okay.
At least I'd read the beginning one. That's the one I mainly remember reading, and I might have downloaded that once, gotten to that point, and said, okay, that's really not that. It's really not something I'm just going to keep pushing through. It's not that I didn't like it, but it's just in that realm of if I don't want as much gore in my supernatural kind of stuff.
Yeah, I get you. There were some parts that were pretty.
It's just and not that it bothers me. It's just it's just not my thing, and I'm not a big horror book anyway. So
yeah, you get introduced. I mentioned Zed / Mary. Okay, speaking of all this, I think that there's going to be more from these groups down the road, by the way.
I'm sure
they're
there will
laying
be.
out a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. You get Ray, who is his older friend that has AIDS, that gets beaten to death by the Jesus Squad, or
Yes.
the Resurrection or Crusader people, because he's a sodomite, quote unquote,
Mm.
and they kill him.
Yes.
And when they're rescuing, so quote unquote, rescuing Mary / Zed from, where Constantine dropped her off for safekeeping. And then you also meet, one of the characters I loved from the movie, and by the way, we can talk about it, or we can't, we don't have to later. I liked the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves, knowing full well that it was called Constantine, and he was some kind of guy that was into the supernatural, and that was about, and he smoked a lot, and he wore a trench coat. And then I don't know how much more that movie had in common with this comic book.
Well, it didn't have. Well, he wasn't British, but I only recall seeing it one time and enjoying it, but I didn't know anything about Constantine. But maybe I'll watch it again. I
think one of the big hangups is, and I think the author, Constantine, we should mention, or I can mention, created by Alan Moore and Swamp Thing. I forget what artist was with him on that when he created him, or they created him. So my apologies to the artist. The artist, I believe, and Alan Moore said he was physically modeled after Sting.
Okay, that makes sense.
In the comic book, albeit a Sting that wore a loose tie and a trench coat and was a chain smoking, hard drinking, occult guy.
Yeah.
So, I think or was it Billy Idol? Shoot, now I don't know.
I don't know.
It was either Sting or Billy Idol. So, because
Okay.
all the British people, all the British, rock people that are blonde from the 80s look the same to me. Face blindness in that regard for me. Pretty hard. Blonde, rock and roll, pop stars from Britain. Men. All look the same.
Okay.
Okay, so anyways, what other? Oh, the other arcs. We've already talked about a couple of them. And the other one was the yuppies, the demons.
The demons. Yes, the whole soul market. I like that. That was kind of a neat little thing, especially the way he
tricks
ended
the
it.
demon.
Yes, because he acted. I love that he acted like he wanted in to the whole soul market thing, and that convinced the guy that, oh no, clearly you know something. So they dumped it. So they just shorted their own supply and crashed the market, and it was all because of him. It was funny. And you keep getting information about that is he keeps tricking demons, and they're like, well, I'm going to get you one time, and I'd have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for you meddling kids.
That's exactly, yes. I'm like, oh, you outsmarted me again. Gosh darn it. What else was there? Oh, you got to meet Papa Midnight.
Yes. That was in the first thing. He was
Yeah,
quite a fellow.
Yeah. A bad guy. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of don't want to mess with him.
And Constantine keeps killing his friends. And there's a dark secret that what happened in Newcastle?
Yeah.
Something happened in Newcastle. There was a group of them, and everyone at this point is dead but him.
And the ghosts appear every once in a while.
Yes. They haunt him. Except the last time they appeared in it, I liked it because he was like, okay, go ahead and flay me. And they're like, no, we're actually here for you. We're not upset with you. We just,
yeah,
we're your friends. The things happen. I was irritated with him in the computer one where he shut the computer off.
Right.
Because why did he kill his friend? He was in the computer. He could have lived in the computer or gone back out. The whole worldwide, okay, the web wasn't there now, but if you think about it, part of it was because he clearly went from computer to computer because he did not have to. And I will say, we're not 100% sure that the guy is dead. So if we really wanted to, he could come back. I know we saw his ghost, whatever, but another writer could go, you know what? No, there's a magic user trapped in the internet. In the DC universe.
Or whatever they called it back then. Well, yeah,
there was some form
of the internet.
I'm saying now. Well, and clearly he was using some form of that because he went from the computer there at the snack cake factory or the cereal factory to the Gloucester area and broke through the firewalls.
Glastonbury.
Glastonbury? Oh, it's not Gloucester?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it was. I wrote it down.
Every
Glastonbury. I don't know why.
British, stupid named British town to me is the same.
Kind of like my thing with the British pop stars.
Yeah,
that
except
from
more
the
people.
80s.
Except more people would agree with mine.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, that's just duh. So what else? The Yuppies, the niece, the Vietnam. Yeah, the Vietnam War thing. Eesh. That was rough.
No, that was really rough. I just, oh my Lord.
The one guy that apparently survived and came home and opens the gas station on the interstate that just gets drunk every day because he doesn't want to think about what they did in Vietnam. And they show flashbacks of somebody from his whatever company pointing a rifle at a kid or a young woman. And then he thinks he's raping a Vietnamese lady. And he's raping his wife, maybe?
Yes.
Do you remember that part?
Yes. I literally read it within the last hour.
I was like, geez. I mean, I knew it was Vertigo, and I knew it was going to be hardcore, but I was still a little. I mean, 88, taken aback, and I know it was not approved by the comic book code because it was Vertigo, and that was not on the cover. But
no, they showed some really rough stuff, which that was rough. They were trying to do a thing, and I thought it worked well. I did also like the Swamp Thing arc.
At the end?
Yes. I like the Swamp Thing arc, especially because Swamp Thing takes over. He takes Constantine over. And he's talking about him, and he gets him a tattoo, so he has something to show for it. And the funny thing is, I screenshot that when you see his tattoo, because honest to God, they say it's a tree. It looks like it's on his butt. And later they say it's a tree. It looks like they got a butt plug tattoo on his butt.
Or like a shroom or something, or
yeah,
something. It was the weird thing,
I know,
right?
But it just, to me, I was just like, and maybe that's just where my mind went, but I was like, that looks like a butt plug.
Okay, so going to that arc, when Swamp Thing shows up, Constantine immediately grabs a piece of him and tries to roll a piece of Swamp Thing into a cigarette.
Well, that's because that's you don't remember how Swamp Thing shows up. Swamp Thing shows up. He manifests himself out of his Constantine's
tobacco?
cigarettes. Yes. So that's why he grabs stuff to roll it. Because he used his, he's like, those are my, because he even said, those are my only cigarettes.
Well, and then
what's
funny is Swamp Thing is like, I'm not going to smoke myself after he takes over.
Oh, well, he
his
thought
body.
about it. He thought about it.
Yeah.
He said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to smoke.
That, because that'd be too weird. Not taking over a dude to have sex with your wife that's still a human.
Yes.
That's not weird. But crossing the line? Smoking a cigarette out of my own, bark or whatever, or green stuff, because I'm Swamp Thing. The Nazis got some comeuppance, especially, you remember the...
Oh, God. When they
were... The Iron Fist
the Avenger. Iron Fist the Avenger. This keeps coming along with, and I don't see the same thing happening in Marvel Comics, but this keeps going along with them trying to take little shots at Marvel characters.
Yes.
I mean, it was just, remember that one Superman thing, Panic in the Sky. I kept pointing out all of these little things.
Yeah. That's
but
a
it's
good
like,
point.
man.
And then there's so these neo-Nazi, I don't know why they're Nazis, and they hate homosexuals.
They're skinheads. Those are skinheads.
Yeah, they hate everybody, but especially homosexuals. And they're going to go in because they think they found somebody to beat up, but it turns out to be a demon.
Yes.
Who then converts them to the Damnation Army and makes them a four-headed monster. And they're going to try to take out Mary/Zed before you find out her dad's the leader of the cult.
Yes.
That wants to have her give birth to a new Jesus, baby Jesus. They turn him into a four-headed monster, and again, Constantine just being smarter than the average bear is like, hey, that's interesting. So one of you guys roots for Arsenal, and the other two of y'all root for Arsenal, two of y'all root for Chelsea. What do y'all do on Saturdays?
Yeah.
And so they literally rip. Sorry, I stole your thunder. They rip each other themselves, I guess, limb from limb.
Yeah, they beat each other. They beat themselves to death.
The funny thing, and he talks about tribalism, and that's even more important to them than whatever their neo-Nazism, skinheadedness, and being part
but
of
I mean,
the Damnation Army.
But the minute you saw him look at the Chelsea tattoo, you knew that was going to happen because he brought that up. He brought that up when he was talking about the guys at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
It was foreshadowed from the beginning because he said they do this, they chase all these, except on Saturdays where there's football and 2 root for Chelsea and 2 root for Arsenal. And if they ran into each other on Saturdays, they'd be going at it with fist, knives, and bottles. So,
yep. And that's the hooliganism is still a problem I hear over there at some level. It's not as bad as it used to be, even in the 80s or 90s, but especially in the 80s, it was bad apparently, in 70s. But it's still a thing. It's wild. I mean, we think, and I know it's bad. I mean, I know like a Los Angeles Dodgers fan was killed at a San Francisco Giants game or vice versa. And I know the you know, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, don't wear your gear if you go to Philadelphia. I wouldn't. Yeah. It's just not worth the headache. Yeah. I wouldn't think, but unless you're just willing to take the abuse.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's just that was an interesting part, I thought. I don't know that I usually am into these things. It was almost too heavy for me because it was hitting too many notes that are, again, like I said at the top, for me too on the nose for what's going on now with the Thatcher stuff and then winning a 3rd term and the conservatism and the evangelical bent. Weirdly, being that it was from the late 80s, you know, I know it's all cycles and things come and go and it's every 20 or 30 years. And I was like, gosh darn it, this is a little too on the nose for a lot of the stuff that's going on. And it was making me think too much, Charles.
Yeah. It's not good when Hav thinks, everybody.
No. You can hear it sometimes.
The gears get grinding. It's terrible. It's not good. Yeah, so no, I did like it. I don't know that I'm going to keep watching it. I really like the John Constantine I watched the TV show that came out when it came out. I watched the first
You can just keep on reading it.
I'm not going to. What I was saying is the iteration that I enjoyed was the TV show. That
only lasted a season for some reason.
Yeah, that's because it was all over the place. And it really was. Okay. It was really all over the place. I enjoyed the beginning of it. I don't think I finished the season, but then I really liked it when John Constantine would show up on the Arrowverse shows. I thought the actor did a great job. He was fun. He was very much this character. He really did a good job.
More glib.
Incredibly glib and he's just there to solve this problem and move on. He don't want to be close to everybody because everybody he gets close to dies, and it's just I'm gonna fix this problem. I'm gonna get the fuck out. Y'all shouldn't be messing with this shit. So stop it.
And I remember when Doom Patrol, when I still haven't finished the last season. I never finished the last season of Doom Patrol on whatever it's on Max. But there was a character that came on that was very much like John Constantine. I don't know if you remember that, but it wasn't John Constantine. It was an occult guy that wore a trench coat. And it was a guy, gosh, this is a weird reference. He played the lawyer on Battlestar Galactica. I don't know, in the middle seasons. Yes. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And he was also in Supernatural. He played,
Crowley.
Thank you, Crowley. Yes. He played Crowley on Supernatural.
Yes.
But I remember being really disappointed that it wasn't Constantine. And then I found out, of course, doing the Googleizing, that it was because that show wasn't allowed to use him because he was being used, or they were maybe making the show, or they were hoping to still do something with him somewhere else and didn't want there to be confusion. So, and that other character that the guy that played Crowley in Supernatural played is an actual character from the DC universe. Yeah. I thought they made him up for Doom Patrol, but it was another. I just thought that was interesting. Speaking of other media, some of these characters have appeared in. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I really think it's dumb that they do that kind of thing where you can't use this character because we're going to use him in something else and it's too confusing. It's comic books. And the core people that are watching things like Doom Patrol and a Constantine something are really the comic book fans mostly. So you can get away with, we get it. These are two different universes. This is the Elseworlds here. And we also, if you read comic books and you follow comic books, you know that your favorite character or this particular character is not necessarily going to act the same way in somebody else's book. It was during the Hellblazer thing when they had the Stan Lee character show up.
The Funky Flashman.
The Funky Flashman. When he was there, he was talking about it, and he was like, and we're gonna, and we can have them fight with each other. And why would we do that? Well, it's because people because he was talking about who would win between Batman and Superman, and what if you put this, and what if you did that, and they're going back and forth on this over and over and over again. And he was saying, and then we can decide which one wins, because we can do it, and then we can make money on this, and we make money. It was that I enjoyed, especially because it came right down to the thing that Stan Lee used to always say, because he always got tired of the people asking him who would win a fight between Captain America and Spider-Man. And my answer has always been whoever's fucking book it's in. So if it's in Spider-Man's book, Spider-Man wins. If it's in Cap's book, Cap wins. Which is that's the real truth. But his answer was whoever the writer wants to win. That's who wins every time.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked, speaking of, so Funky Flashman shows up in that last arc where Swamp Thing takes over Constantine to try to not to try. They make a baby.
Yeah, they make a
baby. And then, but I also I do like the supernatural stuff, especially the lighter supernatural stuff. This was pretty heavy.
Yeah,
I loved that Phantom Stranger and the Demon show up at the end and are just kind of watching everything and then kind of get crossways with each other at one point.
Yeah,
like, wait a second, we can't let this happen. Wait, what? Huh? What?
Yeah,
I don't know, for some reason that I like that. So the end arc, they just kind of they end with. What was I'm trying to remember. What was the last? Was it just ending with the Swamp Thing? It was
she got
anthology. What do you go ahead?
She got upset after they fucked and made the baby, and then she walked off and went away, and then she got in a car with somebody that wanted a threesome with the Swamp Thing's bitch, which was a weird. I mean, that just seemed kind of like you sometimes just overly sexual for no reason.
Well, that's again. What I'm known for. But
yes.
Go ahead.
And then, so she gets out and walks and meets up with Constantine, because obviously he was around and he came to in his own body with like, wait, I feel like I had sex. Anyway. So they run into...
smelled his hands.
Yes.
What?
Then they... See? Point. Charles. So then they went and got drunk and then went back to a hotel room. And this was after... I did enjoy the whole bit where she was talking right before they had sex, not Constantine, but when Swamp Thing was Constantine, right before they had sex, she's telling him, I don't know, this just seems like something Constantine would do. And I can't really believe that it's actually you in there, which honestly, yeah, it does kind of seem like something Constantine would do.
Well, and at first, she tells him, "Whoa, you smell like a ashtray."
Yeah, they just well, no, you taste horrible because of all the smoking, and so then he makes plant mucus in his throat and mouth or something like that. No, but I did like the fact that she finally believed him was because he said, "No, that's fine. Then we don't have to do this. We'll find another way." And then she's like, "Oh, it is you," because Constantine never would have done that. Yeah,
because he hasn't tricked people before.
Yeah, no, Constantine never tricks anybody. I mean, the first comic in this, he tricked the guy that was his friend into taking the demon inside him. But in fairness, the guy had released the demon, and the whole shit was his fault, and they had to do something. So it was. I understand that Constantine felt guilty about that, but what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, and then going back to the guy that was going it was called the Ghost in the Machine or something, or something like that. Ghosts in the Machine. They called it quantum magic, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yes, but I did not think that he should have unplugged him. I
don't think he should have unplugged him. I thought that was kind of knee jerky, but why not just leave it running?
Yes.
Yeah, his body is a husk, a burnt out husk, but he's obviously still alive. And if you think turning it off is going to kill him, Leave it running. What's it hurting anybody? You just leave. Just say, hey, buddy, there's no body.
Yeah, I
literally
can't.
no
There's
body.
no body. Have a conversation with him. What would you like to do? There's no body. I can.
You want to just ride the
Yeah.
waves of the quantum magical realm, or do you want me to unplug this thing? I think it's, hey, let me see what I can do over here on this end.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can. I can even run an arc where you find somebody that's in a coma that's like brain dead, and you hook him up to that, and you move him into that body. And it was just like, nope, I'm just gonna unplug you. It's like, dude.
AI, or like a
Yes.
machine or an android or
I mean,
something.
there's lots. This is the DC universe. You don't just got to murder the guy.
That struck me as really like I said, a knee jerky, like, I don't want to hear him. I don't want to talk this over. I don't want to hear him scream. I'm unplugging it. Bye-bye.
I just thought more than anything else, I thought it was kind of bad writing, or, well, we're wrapping this up and we don't want to deal with this guy anymore. So we're just going to, doop, he's done.
Does Richie appear as a ghost at any point, though?
I think he did.
Quantum Magic guy?
I think he immediately, because they immediately have, see, that's what I mentioned that because and then I was just like, okay.
Yeah. You're right. That's a nitpick. Look, I liked it. I did like it. Little nitpicky. Oh, I haven't mentioned this. The writer. Oh my God, my writing is horrific. My handwriting, I cannot read. Jeez Louise. Painted covers by Dave McKeon, which were really, really cool. Jamie Delano did the writing on these it was the first writer on this, and the art was by John Ridgway. And then, like I said, painted covers that I don't know if you flip to the back to go through them, I thought were pretty darn cool. I love the covers, and this was just not on my radar back in the late 80s, and I might have liked it, given that I was reading some heavy stuff that I probably shouldn't have read back then anyway.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then just for the boys and girls at home listening to the pod, I say I'm not going to go on and read it. I am interested because this ran for a while. It ran until 2013, issue 300. And I know I picked up issues here and there. Everybody that was somebody to some extent wrote on this thing. Garth Ennis, Paul Jenkins, Warren Ellis, Grant Morrison, Brian Azzarello, I've never said his name out loud, Mike Casey, Andy Diggle, Denise Mina, Peter Milligan, Neil Gaiman. The only one off this list I really don't know off the top of my head, although he's got a link on Wikipedia, Eddie Campbell, which he was the illustrator on From Hell with Alan Moore.
Okay.
So he's got a skin on the wall there. I'm just saying it's interesting because this was a property that attracted a lot of heavy hitters.
Well, it's something you can play oddly in.
Right.
You can really do whatever you want in a lot of ways. You can. It's not as constrained a title as some of the other ones are. So, I can understand why the people you mentioned would be like, yeah, I'll take a little crack at this. I can have fun with this.
And it was a Vertigo title,
yeah,
which means you weren't restrained by the comics code that they back then still adhered to.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, a little other Googleizing I did. They wanted to call it at first Hellraiser, but it was revised because Clive Barker released a film of the same name close in time.
Okay.
So they called it Hellblazer instead of Hellraiser.
Okay.
So yeah,
I kind of like that name a little better because he's blazing his path to hell.
Say again.
I kind of like that better because he is blazing his path to hell.
Yes. Oh yeah, and look, but the ghosts hanging around in the thread, you like we talked at the top. There were some ongoing. You got the feeling, they were planting some seeds for things that were going to go on about the ghosts and more development there, and him trying to ride him not working for heaven or hell, but right in the fence in the middle, which could be interesting. So there's that.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on the? So thumbs up from you, I guess. Generally,
generally thumbs up. I liked it. There's nothing. The only things I didn't like about it were just more about things that aren't my cup of tea when it comes to stuff. It's not there was nothing I would nitpick about it. It was incredibly well written. I really did like the artists and the way the artists rendered a lot of this, and I just enjoyed it.
Okay.
As much as I could for something it's out of my ballywick.
Well,
if
and
you
I know
what I mean.
you know, exactly. When I recommended it, I didn't know it was going to be as it's a graphic novel, as graphic as it was, or over the top. I knew it was Vertigo.
Yeah,
I've read Vertigo stuff that was not as this hard or rough. Although we did read We Three, which was that was Image, I guess.
yeah, but I actually
that was different.
I didn't think We Three was You seem to have a different thought about how bad We Three was than I do.
It was just so rough. I love animals so much.
Well, that was bad, and they got their revenge. But why they had to fucking kill the bunny, I don't know. Fucking bunny didn't get to live, but by God,
I know.
and cat did.
Speaking of that, have you watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Julie, midway through that, looked at me and said, "What did you do to me?"
Yeah. Oh my God, that was an amazing
why?
movie. That was.
It was a great movie, but she was like, "What the fuck?"
I mean,
I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know.
It got me. It got me. I've watched it. I watched it once, and then I watched it. Cindy and I watched all three of them because she hadn't seen the third one yet. So we started it and we just watched all three of them over the course of a week or so. So she got to, because it was fun to do it that way. Because I think I watched the two before I went to see the third one the first time, because I love those movies. But believe it or not, I think it's the best of the three. And I loved the fact, not to just go down the rabbit hole, but of this unintentional.
Okay, sure.
But I do think my favorite part of this, and it was kind of teased in the first one, was this is not Star-Lord's story. This is Rocket's story. Rocket is the story of these three fucking movies. It's Rocket's arc. We think it's Star-Lord's arc, but it's Rocket's arc. And it can be two people, but I mean, it is just, I loved it when I looked at it like that.
It was, yeah. And I enjoyed it. I wonder if they're ever going to do anything with that last incarnation of Guardians of the Galaxy that you see at the very end that Rocket's leading.
I don't know.
I would love to see that.
When James Gunn flames out at DC.
Ouch!
I'm just
Shots
kidding.
Fired.
No, I don't. I'm so.
You know what? I'm texting Jimmy right now and telling me what you said.
So fucking hopeful about what James Gunn doing this. I just it's DC, so I can't be that hopeful. You know what I mean? I can't.
If they, and everybody excuse us, but we are going to go down our little bunny trails, rabbit holes. If they give him carte blanche, like everybody says they have, like they did with Kevin Feige at Marvel, like they have with Filoni, with Star Wars.
Have you been watching Acolyte? Sorry.
I'm behind. I've watched a few episodes. I like it. I like it a lot.
God, I'm in love with that show.
I see. Right now, I'm still. We can talk about that later.
Okay, that's fine.
But okay. I think I've told you, and I'm speaking of not being like, I can't believe you haven't seen it. I know horror is not your thing.
Yes.
I really want you to watch Slither.
Okay.
With James Gunn and Nathan Fillion and Elizabeth Banks and will be Michael Rooker.
I don't really like Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
That was a joke. I really like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, okay, well, shit. Well, still, I mean, he's good in it. I'm just trying to compare it. I don't know. I think I've told you numerous times after seeing Slither and seeing what James Gunn did with that, and then hearing I think that was the only thing I'd seen that he'd done. I know he had written something I really liked, a couple things, and I'm blanking on those. But when I heard then that he got Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, ooh, please, please, please let this work out. If he does half as good on Guardians as he did on Slither.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm very hopeful and optimistic about Superman, and that it's going to be the right mix of fun, funny, serious, but not dark and gritty.
Not Superman. I see. That's the one thing I know's not going to happen. He's not going to do a dark and gritty Superman.
I don't know how to bring this up without mentioning this. I did go to Eddie's memorial this past weekend. Saw a lot of high school friends. It was very nice. It was a very good memorial. Again, I'm still dealing with the fact that I'm not going to ever see or talk to him again. It was again, like I said, great to see a lot of old high school friends. One of my high school friends that I saw, her name's Ann Richmond, now Ann Wakefield. Her brother-in-law wrote this comic book called The Ice Cream Man. That was a horror comic that came out with Image that was very well received a few years back, I think right pre-COVID. An anthology horror comic with the Ice Cream Man was like the common, almost like the Crypt Keeper, but a little more involved, I think. I never read it. I just remember hearing about it. When she told me, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's your brother-in-law. That's pretty freaking cool. Because she had heard about on the Facebook, we had Mark Resnick on and was like, oh my God, I got to listen to your podcast. By the way, my brother-in-law wrote Ice Cream Man. Have you ever heard of it? I was like, yeah, I've heard of it. It was a huge hit that I just haven't read because I'm not reading a lot of new stuff right now, but I definitely have heard about it. That's amazing and very cool that he did that. He had a full-time job when he was doing it, wrote it on the side, and then it's already been optioned by Universal and yada, yada, yada for a show.
Very cool.
So I thought that was something worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Ann, if you're listening, hi.
Yeah, and you can write us an email if you would like. You can find a way to send us an email at havandcharles.com, havandcharles.com. It has a website up at the top. It'll say, send Hav an email, which is kind of funny because Hav doesn't get those emails. I get those emails, but fuck it. Send Hav an email. Hav only hears the emails when I read him the fucking emails. Unless you mention...
When he decides to share them with me.
Well, in fairness, I started the first time we got emails, I forwarded them to you. You never read them, you never acknowledged them, and then you were surprised when I read it on the air. So I'm pretty sure you teach people how to treat you.
Well, I didn't want to, I guess I'll just come, all your emails get shoved into like a subfolder. There's a rule on my inbox. It's called these are probably stupid from Charles emails.
Okay.
So...
Fair
There's
enough.
that. No, you know what? I do remember you sending me some of them, and then I had so many junk emails. I don't even know why I have my own personal email address anymore. I don't want to get rid of it because I've had it since the 90s.
You can go to the bottom of those emails and hit unsubscribe, and they stop sending you stuff. Because most of the stuff you get, I know it's so hard. I do purges on it periodically where I just unsubscribe from all this stuff because I'm like, why do they keep sending me this? I changed my electrical company today because my thing expired and they ticked me off when I called them. So I found somebody that was much lower than what they were offering me. Well, not much lower, but lower. Yeah. And a shorter term. And one of the questions they ask, and we would like to send you promotional things and blah, blah, blah via text and phone call. And I was like, no, thank you. No. And then they went back to another thing. And then at the end, they're like, and you get 2 months or 3 months free of our surge protection plan. And I will transfer you at the end of this call. And you can talk. I was like, no, because you're going to want me to pay. He's like, well, they'll talk about it. I was like, you're going to want me to pay for the service, but you'll give me the first month's free. And I'm not going to do that, but I can unsubscribe from it. I'm like, I'm not. He's like, well, but I was like, no, don't send me over to there either. Just fuck off into the sun. Because there was something else that they were like, oh, it was, they offered we'll do you a rebate, the save energy thing. And then you'll get money back if we let you know if there's an alert and you can adjust and you might get money back on your thing, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, sure, sign me up for that. I'm always willing to adjust my temperature. And he says, okay, but you have to opt into us sending you text alerts. I'm like, motherfucker, send me an email.
Yeah.
You can send me a fucking email. I'll read it and go, oh, I need to change late afternoon. I need to not be blasting my AC today. That's fine. I might take one for the team. But good God, I'm not going to take a fucking text message for it. And I loved how he said that means you have to opt into all text messages. I'm like,
from everybody, everywhere, all at once? Wow, no, that's a lot of text messages.
Well, for all of their, whatever the fuck text messages they want to send you, instead of just this limited, this is the thing we can send you. They're like, no, you have to take everything from us. You have to lay there and take it. Anyway,
Oh my gosh. Oh my. Oh God. This turned ugly. That conversation turned very weird at the end. Well, I'm glad you changed companies now.
No, this is the company I went to. As they
Oh
suggested.
shit.
Hey,
well then I'm still somehow weirdly glad you went to that company because there's that option maybe later?
Yeah, I got to decline the just take it all.
Okay, good. And hey, they abided by your request. That was nice of them.
They did. Consent is important.
Oh gosh.
As the sign said at the comic book thing, cosplay is not consent.
Yes, it's good that they have those signs. It's also incredibly sad that they have to have those signs at comic book conventions.
That is.
Have we talked about that we went to that?
No, we haven't, but we probably are going to do it tonight.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes. So,
we talked about another comic book.
Yes, it's another Marvel comic, just like the last one.
Or DC, you know.
Thank you for ruining the bit quick. Because clearly...
I thought you make so many verbal gaffes. I thought you were really confusing it. So,
dude,
I really did. Suicide Squad, Squadron Supreme.
Yeah, that's just trouble with the your whole SS kick. I mean, you're just
okay. I think for sure that's your thing. I didn't even think of that. Wow,
you just everything you want is some kind of SS thing, and I'm beginning to think there's a secret to it. No, I was gonna. Okay. I mean, oh, for fuck's sake! Yes, look, I was doing a bit.
Episodes, issues, confusing comic book companies. You think Spider-Man's better than everything else? I mean, there's a lot of issues you got, you know. So I just wanted to make sure. I really wasn't trying to step on your bit.
I'm about to have an episode.
I'm sorry. So go ahead. Oh, let's pretend like. Hey, let's rewind a couple seconds. Let's pretend like I didn't step on your bit.
Nope. It was. I was gonna just throw out there, and so this is another Marvel comic, Batman Court of Owls. So. I didn't say it was a good bit, but I was...
Oh, yeah. No, that was good. No, that was really next level. Oh, my God.
So, guys, I'm glad you're listening to the final episode of Hav and Charles Talk Comics.
Batman Court of Owls, Batman Volume 2, after... This is like New 52 time period. February of 2012 is when this arc starts with issue number 6 was when the 7 issues. When we pick up... I'll do this at the top... Writer, I will say the great Scott Snyder is the writer. He has gone on to write numerous other Batman very good stuff. I saw one comment on something in this collection from some magazine. I think like our comic book website, maybe the greatest Batman writer of this generation. I don't know how we do generations, but yeah, maybe in the last 20 years, he's pretty up there.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the last 20 years. Without a doubt.
Artist, Greg, I'm going to say Capullo, Capullo. A good to very good comic book artist, again, very well regarded and has gone on to do a lot of other stuff. I borderline great, I'd say. I know that's my go-to.
You really don't like him, huh?
I think he's good. He
reminds me. He's just not. Hav hates him, is what he's trying to say. This is Hav saying, "I hate this. I hate the art in this."
This is me passive aggressively, or just I don't like to be mean.
This is garbage art in Hav's mind, which is weird because I liked the art in this. I liked the art deco.
I'll text Greg myself I'll text him after. Look, hey Greg, I shit on your work. I think you're a piece of shit artist, and why don't you just draw more stick figures like you keep on doing? No, it's very good. It's just for some reason it reminds me of somebody else. It reminds me of a more comic booky version of the artist from Batman Year One. And I can't think of the name of the artist from that, and it's driving me crazy right now. I was just trying to place it because for some reason his art is it reminds me of somebody else's art, and that's why I'm not putting him as great. It's very good, and for some reason I think of somebody else when I see his art. So
okay,
there's that.
Okay.
So yeah, I liked it because I'd read it before, but did you like it?
Yes, I'd read it before as well.
Okay.
I've read...
Well, hey, that was a fun podcast.
Pretty much everything I suggest, I've read before. It's very rare that I haven't read it when I suggest it. So, no, I really like this. One of the things I liked about the art is all the different buildings they did from different eras with the different hiding places. Shoot. And I liked the Gothic stuff and the when he would do the past because they went back in the past where they were hounding Bruce Wayne. I liked
like
the
1600s or like
yeah,
way back when.
Yeah, I liked the art when he was in the maze when they were hunting him with the Talon and trying to drive Batman insane. I thought
the labyrinth.
Yeah, I just kind of amazed me when you were doing your passive aggressive shtick on the art. That was just, it's interesting.
I'm gonna have to go back. I read this one right away. Excuse me, when you suggested it, I read it right away. For some reason, the art, okay, that's weird for me. Because I usually am just, gushing about everybody all the time. I think it's because his art reminds me of somebody else, and like I said, it reminded me
of someone you think is so much better that whose name you can't even remember. And this isn't me not remembering your name. I can't fucking remember anybody's name. Roger.
Just for that, go ahead. You keep on talking. Now you got me Googling.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So this is on you.
So I really did. I enjoy the whole idea of the Court of Owls and the Talons being basically winter soldiers, because they last forever, and that they were going to, and I like the idea that they get them from the circus, and
which
Dick
brings
Grayson,
into
Dick Grayson is supposed to, and there's a whole arc going to go on after this that I've read where they're trying to make Dick Grayson a Talon, and I think they do at one point, and he breaks it, and because they do horrible things to Dick Grayson.
Well, they named him Dick to begin with, so there's that. But I'll be here all night, everybody. Tip your waitstaff. Nothing, really? Are you hiding a smile behind there?
I'm smiling.
A little bit.
I'm smiling at your awfulness.
Hey-o. David Mazzucchelli, who did the art for Batman Year One, is how I'm going to say Mazzucchelli. Very distinctive art. For some reason, Greg Capullo's art reminds me of that.
That's
and I'm
very
not sure
weird
if that's accurate or not.
Because I'm thinking back. I'm trying to think of Batman Year One art, and I don't. And this is me. And I read this right when we. No. I read the comic. First, I read the comic that I thought I suggested, and then you pointed out that I didn't suggest that comic, and then I read this.
Yeah, what did you say that you're like, we're going to read this?
Well,
I was like, what are you talking about? Well, I already read Court of... I thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah, you're fine. Well, that's because it was... I decided to do Court of Owls after I'd already decided on the other one, and you'll find out what the other one is. Well, you'll re-know it because that's what I'm suggesting this time. So...
Gotcha.
It'll be fine. Okay. And
cool.
I'll read it again because I really liked it.
Yeah, you will. So the art was, you know what, I don't know, I'm gonna take it back, but the one creepy thing that creeped me, out, I don't know why I'm not cursing, creeped me the fuck out. It was the white. I know. I apologize for my dirty mouth. The Court of Owl.
What is it you were gonna do to the microphone with your mouth?
I said it at the top.
You didn't.
Do at every podcast. I make love to the microphone with my mouth.
Okay, no, you didn't. That was before we started the podcast.
Oh, I thought you were recording.
And I was recording, but that doesn't mean it goes in the podcast.
Okay, well, shit.
That thank you very much. And I got him to. This is the second time I've got him to repeat that.
I am not. Yes, I am easily convinced to do things. Advertising works on me really well, by the way. There was an advertisement tonight for an automated robotic grill cleaner for your barbecue pit. Uh-huh. And I immediately turned to Julia's, and I was joking. I was like, I need one. She's like, no, you don't. I was like, I know. We haven't used the barbecue pit well before COVID.
Yeah, so it needs cleaning.
But I saw it looked so cool. It was like a Roomba, but for your barbecue pit grill. I was like, how cool is that? Like I can't be bothered to scrape the grill like with a steel brush. I'm going to use this little robot. Okay, sorry. So the Court of Owl masks are creepy as fuck, and I had forgotten that. And that's the art.
Well, they also
kind of artist.
Yes, and that I can see where there's some stuff again. Thinking back to, I see where now you're getting the combination between the art.
Well, and it very much the art for Batman Year One. It also reminded me of Eyes Wide Shut, the masks that they're all wearing. Although these are all uniform owl masks, for some reason everybody dressed up to the nines. Mm-hmm. but with wearing the owl masks and all sitting kind of in judgment.
So you got so turned on that you didn't enjoy it as much. I don't.
You always with the sex with you.
Well,
always
you're the one talking. You go to Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut is not all. Well, yeah, it is all about the sex. Anyway, it just reminded me the mask. This was not sexual.
Yes.
Eyes Wide Shut, yes, but just the weird, freaky masks were creepy as all get out. You also the overlap too between this and there was a Talon that was in the Elongated Man Secret Six. Remember?
Yes, I do.
So there is a little bit of overlap there.
Yes.
You get the head of the Talon. There is only one Talon in this arc, and he gets defeated by Batman, and that pisses off the Court of Owls. All the rich families.
So
blah,
they
blah,
make
blah.
more Talons.
They had them in waiting.
Yeah, they
had them in waiting, and yeah, at the very end, I thought we were reading the whole that would have been 12 issues or 24. I don't know how many issues this was. 7. Yeah. This probably would have been 12 issues at least, because this ends with them releasing all the Talons because they're gonna be take back Gotham from the Batman.
Yes. Yeah. I've always liked this arc. I always like it's hard to take a character like Batman with the long history and give a new group like this. It was really well done because you add this new thing that, and by the way, they were able to do it in a way that they've always been there. I love it when you can slide something into a legacy type character like this and say, okay, but this has always been there. It's always been, the Court of Owls has always been in Gotham. So now you can go back when you do older stories, like they'll do sometimes, and you can put some things and make him not realize it. Actually he was fighting the Court of Owls then when this happened, and they just didn't know it.
It's a retcon, kind of, but not really, because it's not changing anything that's happened in the past. It's just putting something into the mythos that I guess it's technically... I don't know if there was anybody that would have... I don't know of anybody that criticized it or didn't like it. It doesn't seem forced. Like, there are retcons where you're like, ugh. I know they got to reboot stuff, but this was not that. This was just a new...
Yeah, I don't even think of it as a retcon.
No, it's not.
Because
that's not right.
It's not because it's not changing anything about anything. It's just...
It did change one thing.
What's that?
Because Bruce had always suspected that there was something behind his parents' death that was more than just a random mugging.
Yes.
And you get... There's some... I don't know if they even... I can't remember now. If the Court of Owls were behind it because Thomas Wayne was going to try to shake things up and the court didn't like that, I thought. And they find out maybe the Talon that was that was their Winter Soldier killed the Waynes, I want to say. Or that's the retcon.
No, Joe Chill killed.
I don't know. I thought they were dropping hints or just came right out and said...
Well, they could have made Joe Chill do it, but Joe Chill killed Batman's parents. I
want to say they insinuated it, or William Cobb is the Talon, the one Talon in this arc that gets defeated by Batman, that gets the Court of Owls all in a huff, and that's why they release all the other ones. I thought there was something, or at least that Bruce I don't know. I just remember taking something. I made a note of that. And I said 1600s. I don't know if 1600s is right. It might be 1700s because
could be.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it might be. I mean, it could be. They're supposed to be up in the Northeast and yada yada.
It's New York.
New York-y, kind of, but I think New York exists in the DC universe.
It didn't when Gotham was there and Metropolis was there. That they were New York. Gotham and Metropolis are both New York. I know that they're not, but they're both New York.
Well, one's like Manhattan and one's like what Queens?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're from Queens, forgive me. I guess. I don't know.
If you're from Queens, it's the Bronx.
If you're yes. Or what's the one that everybody shits on? That's a borough. Is it not Long Island? Is it Long Island?
No, it's Staten Island.
Or Staten Island.
No, it's Staten Island, but it's
I don't know. I haven't been to New York in forever, so I've heard it's all very nice.
New York's fucking awesome. I've only been there once.
It is awesome. Although I don't know about living there, especially it's just so much concrete.
I know you're scared of cities.
It's more the tall buildings. I think
they're haunted.
They're mocking me.
Oh, well, they are.
Yeah. There was a scene at the very beginning of this that I made a note of. I thought it was cool. They're getting ready for some big gala. What'd you say?
I said they told me.
Yeah, we're getting a little goofy. I made a note of this too. At the very beginning, there's a shot, a panel. It's got Bruce, it's got Tim Drake, it's got Dick Grayson, and it's got Damian Wayne. They're all getting gussied up for a big gala.
Yeah,
they're going to meet a mayoral candidate. There's an assassination kind of attempt. Maybe it's more on Bruce, and he just happens to be there. He's also from one of the wealthy families, blah, blah, blah. But I just thought that was cool. And of course, my guy, Jason Todd, nowhere to be seen because he's Red Hood and, he can't be part of the bad family officially and can't hang out and pal around with all his fellow Robins since he got killed by the Joker and came back from the dead and all that jazz.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think. There's also I think there in this arc at some point, or maybe it's the next one, you get some backstory on the Pennyworth family and their relationship to the Waynes over the years. I remember that being kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they were talking slightly in this one. They talked about that because they've always been
over generations.
Yes, over generations they've been slaves to the Waynes. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Whoa, hey, paid. They're paid.
Okay.
A living wage, except they can't leave the house without permission and. Have kids.
Yeah. Well, clearly they have kids because his father was the butler and now he's the butler.
Well, there you go.
There's a whole Pennyworth. There's a whole Pennyworth breeding program. There's a whole. Well, no, there's a breeding program with the Pennyworths.
Oh God. Okay, no, I'm not doing that. All right. So, really, if you haven't read Court of Owls, by the way, and you like Batman. If anybody's, you really should read Court of Owls. If you haven't read Batman in years because you think everything's been done on Batman, which I know there's a lot of us, I remember being pleasantly surprised when it got so many rave reviews when it came out in the early 2010s that I picked up a trade, I think like a floppy trade, and was just like, oh shit, to the point where then I started picking it up monthly for a little while to finish out the second part of this arc. Or the continuation or the next arc after this. So very well done. Cool.
Yeah. I'm probably going to read the next arc because it's been a while since I've read the whole thing. So
I pretty much have to now. I remember where it left off thinking, gosh darn it. And I didn't have time to, I could have made time. I didn't finish it. I want to finish it because it's a good story.
Well, I've learned my lesson most of the time to continue going. So when we talk about it, I don't talk about the things that happened in the other half that we didn't read, kind of thing.
Oh,
so I tend to try to, because I've learned my lesson, because I've done that before. Stop. Even if it's something I've read before, I want to stop because I want to keep what's fresh in my mind. Because when we did the Sinister Six or the Secret Six or whatever that was, I read it all. And the Talon stuff, there's a whole lot more in the second arc about the Talon.
Right.
And it's awesome. And I highly recommend anybody that reads it because her arc gets great and she's awesome. So, and you learn about her. And you learn more about the Talons too and how they come about. Because she came from the circus as well after her family died and she ended up at the circus like you do. So.
And Secret Six by the great Gail Simone, who is now on one of the X-Men books.
Yes, she is. It was funny because she said she didn't want to be on. They were asking her what things she wanted to be on, and one of the things she said she wouldn't want to do. So they were asking her on. She was like Amazing Spider-Man, and they're so you don't like Spider-Man? She's like, no, she's like, I'd love to do a Spider-Man book. She doesn't want to be on Amazing Spider-Man, i.e. the mainline run. And I the minute she said that, I was like, yeah, no shit. The pressure on that, and the not the pressure, but the comments you'll get and all that, it's just, you can't have as much fun in it. You got to be, I mean, you can have fun. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but yeah, there is, maybe it'd be, yeah. And she's got options.
That's not her thing. Yeah, that's not her thing. She's awesome. I adore her. It's amazing that that a bear can write comics like that.
Oh, I love that bit or that thread or whatever. Although I haven't seen it I know I'm following her on Blue Sky. I don't go to. Do you go to the Twitter? at all anymore? Okay, he's nodding his head, but doesn't want to say it into the microphone for some
I'm
reason.
ashamed of it.
Oh no! You know what? I don't know. Don't listen to me.
I'm
I
ashamed.
still have it. I haven't shut it down because I do promote the podcast on there.
I'm ashamed.
You know.
I am in a shame spiral with Twitter. I was off of it completely for a while, and then I kept back in, and now I'm back off of it. I'm trying to stay off of it again because the politics are too much for me at the moment. So
Facebook is good for certain things, man. And I used to swear off. I did for a long time not going to the Facebook, but for certain stuff, it's very helpful to connect, to stay connected on certain goings.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, no, I actually now they figured me out. It's just people talking about writing and people talking about some comic books, and I've got movies and TV shows that it shows me, and I'm like, okay, Facebook is a nice place for me.
Nice, good.
And woodworking. I get woodworking stuff too.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I remember liking a Beagles page because we used to have Gilda, our Beagle. Uh-huh. And so I get lots of Beagle photos and videos, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I love our dogs, our current dogs. Neither of them are Beagles, and I still fondly remember Gilda the Beagle.
Yeah.
Who was, she was the girl and the boy was Gene. And we do bits with our dogs because that was after Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner.
Okay.
So, anyways, hey, this has been a podcast, and I think now maybe is the time for us to suggest what we're going to read for the next time.
Okay.
I will go first if you want me to.
Okay.
And this is all making if I can get we'll figure it out because it's available on Comixology, which is free with Amazon Prime.
We'll figure it out. Just what is it? Yeah.
Elephant Men. Sorry.
Okay.
Elephant Men.
Okay.
Image Comics are mid 2000s.
Okay. Elephant Men.
I'll send you a screenshot.
Okay.
First volume.
470 pages.
Only 397 pages. No, it's. I want to say I looked at it. I don't think it's over. I think it's, especially Image back then, I think it's like 4 to 6 issues.
Okay. Sorry, that just sometimes you suggest something, and it's just like I open it up and I'm like, the fuck.
I'm hoping. You know what? Now that you say that, I meant to check. I'm really pretty sure it's not something crazy.
It's gonna be 700 pages.
It's gonna be like whatever the longest thing was times 3. Like it's gonna be Panic in the Sky, just twice as long.
Lord.
And I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what you think about it because I haven't read it since back then, so I'm kind of curious to see what I think about it.
Okay. From back when did it come out?
2006.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's modern. Mine is not.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. I'm dipping back into when I was a kid. I am going to suggest that we read Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt.
Awesome.
It is. And I'm thinking back, and I have not dug up through my crate. Pretty sure I read it at the time because I checked the dates and I'm like, yeah, I think I was still reading comics right then, and I'm pretty sure I was
reading comics. Is that the one that has a cover of him getting out of the grave?
That's exactly that one. Yes.
So I remember seeing that on one of the comic book racks or at a comic book store. I've probably a comic book rack and seeing it, thinking, I got to get this, picking it up because that wasn't the first issue.
Yeah.
And then a year or two later at a comic book shop picking up the back issues because I was like, I gotta start this from the beginning. I read it back then.
Yeah.
And but I don't think I've read it since back then. So I'm very curious.
Yeah.
And I bet you it holds up. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. And I reread it thinking I had suggested it because I found it and I was like, fuck it. I think I'm going to do that because I know I've read it, and so now we'll do it this time. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool beans, man.
Excellent.
Awesome. Oh my, there she is. Right on cue. Ethel. Oh my God. Did you hear that?
Yes, of course I can hear that.
Wow,
you have a microphone.
She's upstairs.
Why would, yes, but you
Ethel.
Dude, you're wearing headphones and you can hear it. Why wouldn't I be able to hear it through your microphone?
I don't know.
Do you not know how sound
your
works?
Your technology is strange to me.
Oh my Lord.
I'm just a simple, caveman thawed out from the ice.
Yes.
Now a lawyer. Oh my God, that scared the crap out of me, by the way. I think I pee-peed myself a little.
All right. And on that note, everybody.
Hey. Anyways, hey, thank you, Charles, for doing the podcast with me. Thank you for the patience and delaying the recording a little bit. Thank you to everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Patrick, for doing the theme music, doing the website, and Charles, again, like I always say, thank you for doing all the heavy lifting on the production, the publishing of the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. everybody for listening. Thanks, Hot, for doing it with me. Until next time, y'all have a great whatever with whatever you're doing. Bye.
Bye.